Alright guys, let's be honest. We all have that one anime that we've been planning on watching for a while but never actually got around to. And if you're like me, it's probably way more than just one. But you'll get around to them eventually, right? Stories like Berserk and Vagabond are the most highly acclaimed series in the anime and manga community. But whenever you talk to the average fan, a lot of the time they say,
Ha ha ha! You imbecile! Your recommendations bore me. You must be a Boku no Hero Academia fan, retard. You fool! I'm not reading Mid-Thirk and Vagina Balls.
but why choose to watch something that's hit or miss when you have a large selection of greats that you can start? There are many reasons that are very different for many people, but for me, one of the main reasons is because I want to watch what the people around me are watching. Sure, I'll probably enjoy Vagabond, but if I watch Demon Slayer, I could probably talk to my boys about it and then maybe even play the video game. This desire is not uncommon. In fact, reaction content is sort of fulfilling that same exact need. That's also the reason people love the big three, because not only are they great series, but they're popular enough where you can have conversations about it with many people. Whether it's discussing theories, your favorite characters, moments, or being a filthy power scaler, it always feels good to talk about something you're passionate about, and it makes sense that many people like myself would value that over seeing a good series. The reason Berserk and Vagabond aren't talked about as much as the big three is also because they're not as flexible. Naruto has an anime, manga, games, novels, middle schoolers who spoil the whole series, and many ways to watch and read it. Same thing with the other two, but a series like Vagabond doesn't even have an anime, and Berserk has 3 of them, which confuses many people, and among those 3 is a disabled one, so it makes sense that these series don't really appeal to everyone. But there is a highly acclaimed series that has an anime that isn't missing a chromosome that's a lot more accessible. It's in the thumbnail and title. Yes, I'm talking about Vinland Saga. Because it's sitting comfortably in the top 100 most popular anime, it's become a pretty common watch, and after about 3 years, it's finally back with a season 2. There are many stages for how somebody perceives the show. Stage 1 is for people who know it but haven't seen it, and for them it's just a show about Vikings, similar to how Naruto is about ninjas. Stage 2 is for people who have watched season 1, and it's about revenge and medieval politics. And that's what separates the people in stage 3, those dirty manga readers. What a lot of people don't know about Vinland Saga season 1 is that it's stated to be a prologue and is merely Thorfinn's backstory. You can search it up yourself. Season 1 only introduces to the sick world of Vinland Saga and the main character. Here's the thing, Vinland Saga is not about Vikings. It's not about revenge. It's not about politics. It's about redemption. Redemption arcs are pretty common, and they're usually about characters who either went from very weak to very strong, or very bad to very good. And I know that's oversimplifying it, but that's what the idea is built on. Vinland Saga is a story that centers around this concept in a very unique way. Our main character Thorfinn was born and raised in Iceland, and after a major turn of events, at only 6 years old he was forced onto the battlefield. As time goes on, Thorfinn goes on to kill hundreds of people before he even hits puberty. He would pillage and take the lives of anybody he is ordered to. The sweet boy we saw a few episodes ago was now a ruthless killer. His character design is badass, and the way he fought with double daggers against some of the strongest warriors out there makes you look at him as a pretty cool character. In the anime, we see pretty good looking fight scenes as well, which enhances his already cool design. But in season 1, that's all he really had to him, and side characters were not only more interesting, but felt a lot more involved with the story. But as a lot of the war starts to naturally dial down in the story, Thorfinn becomes more and more empty. He was usually filled with rage, but now he's just there. We go into this new season with what feels like a completely different character. Eventually, he comes to a conclusion. There's nothing good about living. In all the days I've lived, not one good thing has happened. When I saw this moment, that's when I stopped looking at Vinland Saga as a story about war. Thorfinn isn't the killing machine the story portrayed him to be. He's just human. From there on, we get a lot of introspection. It feels like he's kind of waking up from a bad dream. Thorfinn's disgusting actions were overshadowed in the prologue by that intricate story, and on top of that, the author took advantage of the way people usually perceive an action series. If you pay close attention, unlike most other warriors, Thorfinn never enjoyed war. In fact, unlike the people we see fighting alongside him who have smiles on their face during battle and after they win, ever since he stepped on the battlefield, he hasn't shown any emotion except hatred. Most of the time, such ruthless killers think completely differently than someone like me or you, since they either enjoy it or see little problem with it. But other than the wars he was forced to fight as a child, somehow, someway, deep down, Thorfinn was still the same little boy. And that's what makes him such an interesting character. With how peaceful he looks, it feels as if he's a good person stuck in a murderer's body. And when he's reminded of all the horrible things he did to people, despite it being an action series, even to the viewer, it's just wrong. With the sick things we see happening in the story and the realistic outcomes of war makes you stop rooting for action, but instead rooting for peace. The way the author fleshes out war is the most realistic depiction I've ever seen. It's not like shonen where you have out of this world levels of power with supernatural abilities. Everybody is human. Even the strongest warriors can be killed by a single blade or a drop of poison. There's murder, tyranny, slavery, characters that make you question religion, moments that just put you in fear of what will happen to the people who just want to live their lives. Whether it's seeing 2 children grieve over their father's death or a slave being beaten to the point of no return, the series does not pull any punches and shows you how things in real life really play out. It's just raw. The feeling I usually get from watching people fight in anime is just pure hype. One of my favorite series of all time is Dragon Ball Z, and it's notorious for having long drawn out fights. I watched all 4 hours of Goku vs Frieza, and I was hyped for every single moment of it. To me, along with many other fans of action series, wanting to see as little action as possible seems impossible, but that's where Vinland Saga shines. These characters don't feel like people from a fictional series. They act and are portrayed as no different than you and I, and watching Thorfinn slowly realize this and what he's done to so many people makes for an amazing redemption story that you will not be able to find anywhere else in this entire form of media. Also, here's a fun fact, Thorfinn along with almost all of the important figures in the story are based off of real people. The story, the world, the characters, the history, it's all masterfully crafted, and I know it's already pretty acclaimed, but for those of you who haven't seen it or don't plan on watching season 2, I strongly suggest getting into it. There are so many powerful and inspirational moments as well as life lessons in the series, and that all starts with season 2, which I believe will not only be the greatest season in winter 2023, but one of the greatest anime seasons of all time. Despite how serious the series is, of course there are some comedic and wholesome moments that anyone can enjoy, which makes us love the characters even more. It can go from serious to comedic very smoothly, which is definitely one of its strong suits, but when looking at it from a larger scale, which one would make you more invested? More serious characters being shown in a more comedic tone, or characters that go from comedic to serious? If you're interested in a concept like that, click on this video. Anyways, if you enjoyed this, comment the name of your last Uber driver and your favorite male Bengali supermodel. Have a good one and I'll see you in the next one.